person named Dancing Heart Spirit Woman, and I feel extremely blessed and honored to be here, to be part of the summit, to be part of the voices, part of this platform where all of our brothers and sisters from this place can join in the global conversation that's going on presently. And we're a collective of medicine men and women, healers and practitioners and facilitators who wish to share our knowledge and our wisdom that we've gained along our pathway in our particular fields and particular sacred pathways, so that we can share this to raise the vibration with humanity and to help people navigate in these times. We're essentially quite a localized group, actually. We realized that that most of us live on the tip of Africa, actually in the Western Cape, and most of us know each other. So we are so blessed to have our voices shared here as the circles grow and enlarge over the global community. Tonight is the first of our sessions. We're going to have a month of sessions, 4 Sundays, consecutive sessions, starting at 7 p.m. And we're going to have about 8 speakers per session, talking about a whole range of topics. It's really diverse fields of expertise in medicine, from ecology, community service, sacred pathway, psychology, shamanism, sovereignty, sustainability, and in between the sharings, which are going to be short 15-minute sharings, we're going to have some beautiful musicians sharing their heart song with us, their sacred medicine songs for all our hearts to open up like lotus flowers and to enjoy. So just want to share with you that what a big time we are all sitting in. Next level. And just how much this time of this virus has brought us all into a space that we're looking at everything. We're really diving deep and introspecting in these caves that we've been put in, back to our home fires, back to our home hearths. And we're essentially looking at everything with new eyes and a new heart. We're looking at our environment, we're looking at our political systems, we're looking at our communities, we're looking at social issues, we're looking at spiritual issues, we're looking at our pathways, we're looking at our relationships and our families. And this is one of the beautiful reasons for creating the summit, so that we can start building the legs and start weaving the tapestry of this new earth that we're all wishing for, that will raise the vibration of humanity. And what an exciting adventure it is to be alive at this time. It's an exciting adventure that we can all come together. And this is actually the time. There was a beautiful quote that I read the other day from Matt Kahn. My brother Russ, can you share this beautiful quote on the screen? Let me share it from my screen here. The quote says, empowerment is realizing you are the one who needs to say the things you've waited your entire life to hear. We are the ones, and our voices are being heard at this time. So we encourage you also to share your medicine, to share your voice, because all our voices matter at this time. We can unite in this universe of medicine and wisdom. So I also just want to mention, it's such an auspicious time that we're launching, and an auspicious time on our planet astronomically with the winter solstice. So blessings for the winter solstice here in the southern hemisphere, and the summer solstice there in the northern hemisphere. Blessings for this beautiful portal that's opened up, also with a solar eclipse and a new moon. So in the Native American Lakota traditions, they believe that this particular alignment was when new souls came to the planet and old souls left the planet. So it is indeed a portal, and the new moon is a beautiful, beautiful time for us to be birthing our vision, to come out of fear, to step into love, and to step into the vision that we wish to create, the world that we wish to create. So it's a beautiful time, and I feel that we are so supported by the beautiful stars at present. And I also, it's another special day, it's Father's Day. So I just want to wish all of our beautiful fathers, all of our beautiful brothers that are fathers, thank you so much. Thank you for being present for our children, for our future generations, bringing your love into the home. Thank you so much, and blessings to you on this very special day. So I'd like us all, before we get to the speakers, just to commence with a beautiful prayer of intention, and a beautiful prayer where we can honor and respect all life within the sacred hoop of life. There's another beautiful image I'd just like us all to reflect on just for a moment. The beautiful sacred hoop of life where all exists. And I want us just to communally, all of us that are watching and listening and sharing tonight, just to take a beautiful breath, couple of breaths, just joining our hearts across this beautiful, incredible weave and network that is this incredible tool at this time that connects us all. So let's just share our love. Let's just share our love across this beautiful grandmother spider's web. And in this moment, we wish for our relationship to the divine to become more vitalized, to become more alive, so that our natural grace can flow, so that our grace can flow. As we all connect to this beautiful frequency of the hummingbird, that one that shares its joy and its love with us, that one that has had this inner evolution to move so rapidly, this manifestation. This is what we seek, this inner revolution, where we can connect to the higher realms and connect to the purest of sacred hearts, going back to the beginning of time, the purest of sacred hearts, going back to the beginning of time. And we want to open our hearts with genuine remorse for all of the violations that we have created against love. All of the violations against love. And we pray with courage and confidence for our rightful divine inheritance on this planet. And we allow for our bold hearts and loving souls to believe in a beautiful and hope-filled destiny together. We want to give thanks for this life at this time, for this breath of life, for being alive at this time. And we want to give thanks for this incredible platform of Zoom that can connect us all in this time of social disconnect. What a beautiful tool we have to communicate with the rest of humanity across the continents and across all of the separations and the color divides and the cultural divides and the religious divides. We give thanks for this. And we want to honor all the speakers and the listeners for deep listening. We want to honor you for the courage that it's taken to be here, to step up, to honor that great winged one, the eagle, that shows us how to fly high and that shines lights into our hearts, shines courage into our hearts as we carry our new visions up to Grandfather Sun. And we pray for clarity and clear channeling of the deep inner wisdom and ancient wisdom that we hold, this ancient wisdom that we bring forward, because of course we carry a different frequency, but we carry all that wisdom forward with our own very own frequency to lead to enlightened consciousness and expansion. And may this knowledge also assist with this deep awakening, this time of awakening and transformation on our sacred Mother Earth, so that we can restore balance and harmony with all of life on this earth. And we want to acknowledge that we are creators and creatresses. We create our reality with this beautiful fire that burns within us. But we also want to acknowledge that we too can create chaos and destruction. So we want to acknowledge that we have the choice with this beautiful fire of life on what we wish to create. So the prayer is that we can constantly be creating the beauty way for the greatest good of all, that we may make the right choices for the greatest good of all. And we want to give thanks to the sweet and the salty waters of life. We want to give thanks for all of the waters on our beautiful planet. May they flow in purity and harmony, sweet waters of life, and the waters that flow within our bodies, the waters we were born into, these waters that carry our emotions. And we want to acknowledge that so many emotions have been going on at present. We've been feeling the deep depths of grief and the high elations of joy. We want to acknowledge all of those feelings as part of us and not turn away from them and not deny them, but to truly feel them in this human form. And we also want to acknowledge all the bloodlines that have carried us to this point, all of our ancestors, all of the lives they've lived, our grandmothers and our grandfathers, and this wisdom that we carry in our blood. We want to thank them for all of the prayers that have gotten us to this point, the lives lived, so that we can be here living this life at this exciting time. And we also want to acknowledge and respect all of the celestial nations. Grandfather Sun, Grandmother Moon, thank you for shining your light into our hearts day and night. We want to give thanks for all of the angelic realm, all of the ascendant masters, all of our spiritual teachers that are there for us and that are supporting us presently. And we want to acknowledge that beyond our planet and our solar system, there are many other life forms. Our Star Nation brothers and sisters, we want to acknowledge you that are in support of humanity and our inner evolutions, so that we can come into balance as that affects the rest of the universe. And we want to thank you. And we want to acknowledge and respect our sacred Mother Earth for all of the gifts, the divine gifts that she shares with us on a daily basis. All of the food and all of her medicines, we want to give thanks for. And all of the beautiful bird songs that wake us up every morning, we want to give great thanks for. And all of the beauty that each and every one of us has witnessed on this planet, in this life. Her beautiful living body. Our prayer is that we restore balance from within to without. And as we come into center, we just like to acknowledge each and every one of you that are sharing here tonight. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for your light. Thank you for your gifts. And each and everybody that is watching this and will watch it as it gets shared. Thank you for your deep listening. Thank you for being here. Aho matakoyasan. We are all one. We are all related. So, my beloveds, we are now going to move on to our first speaker. And our first speaker I'd like to introduce is Reverend Taz Two Crows Flying. And she's going to be speaking about deep ecology in relation to shamanism. Welcome, my sister Taz.
Wonderful to be here. Thank you so much. It's an extremely high honor to have been invited to this, Michelle. Thank you so much. I love you, my spirit sister. Thank you. Yes, medicine for these times. A couple of days ago, I saw one of those memes that are going around. It speaks about this. It's by a chap called Jason Hickel. Never heard of him. I think the concept of species loneliness has its right. Living in an economic system that regards non-human beings, plants, animals, and ecosystems as a mere stock of resources to be exploited leaves us on some subconscious level deeply troubled by the trauma of our separation. And that is really what I'm going to be taking you on a journey about tonight, because deep ecology and shamanism is something that is deeply interwoven into my life. So, you're not really going to watch me tonight. I'm going to ask you to actually close your eyes, because we're going to go on a magical journey. So, take a few deep in-breaths. Close your eyes. And come with me on a brief journey. Let me hold your hand. And let's all move towards a forest that is way there in front of us. Taking careful steps in unity, we move as one, and we gradually file in a long row of footsteps, gently stepping on our mother. All of us breathing prayers, the cold air making our silent words visible. We hear birdsong and enter the loamy standing nations leaves composting and move deeper and deeper into the darkness of the canopy. We walk for a long while, and up ahead we see a glimmer of fire and smell the smoke. There are many seats around this fire, and we all sit down quietly and listen. There are faces that I know that will be speaking, and there are people that I've watched online that are speaking. Joanna Macy is there, holding hands with John Seed. They have tears running down their faces. They speak in unison. I am the rainforest protecting myself. That part that has recently emerged into thinking. I'm not protecting the rainforest. I am the rainforest. Some of us feel the relief of 1,000 years of separation dropping away. We know our true nature. Another who is in the spirit world already, Arno Ness, who coined the word deep ecology, says, ecological ideas are not enough to protect the earth. We need ecological identity, an ecological self. A medicine person stands and seems to tower over all of us and says in many tongues, welcome, welcome family. You've all finally woken up. They take up their drum and begin to play as we listen. We are taken to a world as if we have taken Los Niños Santos. We see the streams of energy emanating from one another in wonder, the fire, the trees, the other beings. We become aware of the sentiency of the plants and the indignation of being manipulated, their codes destroyed. And we learn in a stream of consciousness that there are flowers who give off fragrance signals to say, we're ready to be pollinated. And we hear a voice that says, your ideas of deep ecology are standing on the shoulders of giants. You've merely forgotten your roots. Many, many years ago, back in deep time, we, your ancestors, lived closely to our mother. We understood the nature of give and take. We understood that, like the bees, we only take just enough. The shaman was asked to do ceremony when harvesting. They crossed over between reality and non-ordinary reality. And with their deep seeing and sharing, they shared the signs of the natural world knowledge and also called upon the guides and the spirits to help the community. The really old ways, when your ancestors lived in small bands of people, a sense of reciprocal oneness existed. We also understood that we're not apart from any cycle, and that our lives are as precious as the elk or eland whose life we took to feed our families, and that everything was used. Nothing went to waste. We understand that in your time it is very different. But each of you can listen to your new teachers who live among you, who are accessing this collective consciousness in a new manner, using language and methods that make sense for you, that is emerging out of this unnatural chrysalis of the industrial mind. And as a shaman, I'm telling you, don't forget the spirit world. It's there to assist you. Call upon your shamans who can see these things. Do ceremony, because what happens in non-ordinary reality happens in reality. These things, these changes, shift. Use these powerful tools to change and shift into a world where a community of reverence exists. The drumbeats cease, and an elder stands. John Seed calls on a prayer breathed from his lips. We call on the spirit of Gaia. Awaken in us a sense of who we truly are. Tiny, transient blossoms on the tree of life. Make the purposeness and the destiny of that tree our own purpose and destiny. We look around us and see that each of us is a leaf or a branch on this tree. Some of us shamans, some of us medicine people, others who give equal gifts of feeding the hungry, living wildly closely to the planet, and energy healers, poets, singers, and more. And you see the threads of life between you, and that you are all one. Each leaf of who you are is essential to the changing the state of our mother and the dignity of all our relations. We understand that what the deep ecologists are saying, and that their words and teachings are what our shamans used to say, that all life forms have an intrinsic right to exist, and that we need to find a way to do this in a dignified manner. The day is coming quick, and we need to leave the space We offer tobacco and other sacred offerings to this holy space and to the elders. We bow deeply with reverence in our hearts and slowly leave, moving towards daylight. We are moved not to forget. We become aware of our surroundings now. And we give thanks to all the teachers that will share their wisdom. Thank you so much for coming on this brief journey with me to see things in another light. Aho. Thank you, everybody.
Aho, my beautiful sister. Thank you so much for your share in that beautiful journey. Thank you. We're now going to invite my beloved husband, Gordon Ashleman. He's going to be sharing, his topic is called The Table.
Thanks, Michelle. Thanks for organizing this beautiful conversation and for leading the way with us in this. And yeah, thanks for your beautiful sharing, task. I really find a continuity in what you're putting in front of us and calling us to, with part of what was on my own heart in preparation for this evening. I'm actually going to step out of my sort of normal way of trying to put things into a very sort of logical box, but rather come to you through a storyline, through maybe a bit more of organic, human, animal, plant-based way of thinking about the subject. But my title is The Table, and it was chosen because these past, I guess it's 10 weeks, in the middle of this virus and the lockdown, our work has been pretty much focused on a community that's just 50 meters that way from where we're sitting right now, the township of Imizamayetu, where prior to the lockdown, there was probably, well, in the whole community, about 15,000 people living below the poverty line, or even below what's called the bread line. But because of weeks and weeks and weeks of unemployment, that community grew almost exponentially. And so for the past 10 weeks, every week, we've been providing fresh vegetables, what we call beneficial food, to about 8,000 different families throughout our community here in Haupe. It's been a massive community response. It's only been possible because so many people have come together and actually worked together and brought all their forms of generosity to make it possible. We don't know how long we're going to keep going, but the idea has been for us, if we're sitting at the evening at the table, enjoying the bounty of creation and the nutrition that comes with that, and there are some that don't sit at the table, then the truth is we all remain hungry because we're one family, we're all one. And so we don't eat easily if our neighbors, if our family has been excluded from that. We like to use the notion that our neighbor is actually our brother, our sister, our mama, our uncle, our cousin, our papa, so our niece. We're all literally one. And if we have that view as being one family, then as we come to the world as medicine workers, it puts a different kind of question in front of us of what does it mean to be medicine in these times. And we are in a difficult time right now globally, but also very much locally. And even just this week, our little sleepy town of Haupe experienced riots, invasion by massive police vehicles, people armed with riot gear and bullets and grenades, and so it's been a wild time. And to ask what does it mean to be a medicine worker in this time has very specific application to where we are. So I want to bring to light, in my mind, what is perhaps one of the unique aspects of what it means to be one who brings medicine to the world in this moment. And I want to first of all, give a contrast as part of what I believe it isn't. And it's just my opinion, that's all. In order to get to what I think maybe it is. And I want to share some very personal thoughts along that line. But first of all, what it isn't. I don't think our primary contribution we have to make right now as medicine workers in this time is to be experts. You know, there's a lot of room for people to bring in their disciplines and to tell us the right way to think, you know, exactly the right position to take on certain subjects. And there can be this temptation for those of us who sit in the middle of this mess to sort of become the spokesperson or the expert on a certain angle of the issues that are facing us right now. And we can become quite consumed even with becoming a person in that role. And the problem is we lose the medicine that we offer, that we actually are. And we can even come to the point that we think it's about truth, the right way to think, the right way to believe. When I lived in the jungle in Belize, Central America for a number of years, we were in the Mayan foothills and our staff were Mayans. And during one particular gathering, there was some question around, you know, what is the real truth that we should all be holding on to? And Tono, the leader of our grounds there, at one point just told us all, hey, stand up and follow me. And he took us to this big La Ceiba tree with great buttresses on it. And he had us all stand around it and holding hands to surround the entire tree. And then he asked one of us, please tell us what the tree looks like. That person told their piece. And then he asked the next person, would you please tell us what this tree looks like? And he told us their point of view. And so he went around, about 13 different people. And everyone had a slightly different view of what this tree was. And then he asked us all to go and stand behind him. And he says, now, if I want you to think that there's one truth, there's one expert way to see this world and to believe, then you'd all have to line up behind me and see it my way. And that would eliminate all the other voices, all the other ways of understanding who we are in this world, in this universe, and even what's our role in it. And he then shared this Mayan view of truth. He said the fewer members of the community sharing the truth, the less likely that we can get to the truth, because, as he put it, truth is not an individual concept. Truth is only a communal concept. So we're freed, in this Mayan wisdom, we were freed from the notion of sort of getting the exact right view on anything. And as medicine workers, we've all been given beautiful parts of the path to bring into this broken and beautiful world. And sometimes we become really well equipped in what that looks like and how we can make our contribution. But we retain our clarity that we aren't being the experts in this field. We aren't the ones that are the standard bearer, or we're not the ones that are offering the truth. We have something deeper underneath all of this that we're called to do. And that's a piece of what I'd like to grab to go to here quickly. And it's even like, in a sense, we're not caught up in the turbulence of the moment, because we know from our history of speaking with the ancients as part of our lifestyles and the future beings, we know there's this long timeline and this long thing that is outside of time that is part of the total reality. And these momentary turbulent situations in life are just a very small part of the whole work that we have as shamanic practitioners. So as all of us, as all of we, as all of you, we practice and we move forward, and in our particular calling that we have as medicine workers, I just want to share 3 little episodes as the way to share my piece tonight. The first one was when I was about 7 years old, living in Joburg. We had a gardener that would come once a week to be with us. His name is Daniel, son of milk. Daniel would come every Friday and garden in our yard, taught me a lot about vegetables, growing fruit, all kinds of things. And he had quite a compost pile that he'd made as well in the backyard. And I, as a 7-year-old, 8-year-old, really wanted to be a much taller human being. And I remember asking Daniel once, could you please tell me, Daniel, how I can be taller? Because I want to be tall. You're tall. And he said, oh, Master Gordon. He always called me Master Gordon. He says, I can tell you exactly how to be tall. And he said, he took me to the compost pile. And he says, every day when you get back from school now, next week, you need to go and stand on that compost pile for the first 10 minutes when you get home from school. Stay on it for 10 minutes. And then the next day the same. He said, when I get back next Friday, I assure you, you will be taller. So I was quite excited, as a child to go into this. And I didn't know at the time that Daniel was offering medicine to my soul. He saw something deeper. He understood what my real question was. So I went and jumped on the compost pile Monday afternoon after school. And of course, there was this great dog next door, a German Shepherd that was just wild and vicious in its bark, and it would keep jumping at me against the fence because the compost pile was right against the fence, and I was so full of fear. And I kept thinking, oh my gosh, this dog's going to jump over the fence and it's going to get me, but I want to be tall, so I'm going to stay on this pile. And I did it for the 10 minutes and jumped off. And then Tuesday, the same story. I really had to stay in that moment of being on the fence and with the dog jumping and growling and barking at me. But I made it through. And then Friday, when I saw Daniel after school, he said to me, so Master Gordon, did you go in the compost pile every day? And I said, yes, I did, Daniel. And he says, well, I said, Daniel, I'm not any taller. I'm not any taller. He says, no. He says, you're so much taller, Gordon. He says, you thought tall was what's in here in height, but tall is what's here. It's the courage. It's the courage to follow your convictions and do the right thing. And he said, you became really tall this week because you had to face the fear of this dog. And you stayed there and you became brave on your insides. and from age 7, I've carried that shaman moment that Daniel, this poor old black South African from Soweto, who could work full time and couldn't even support his family, telling a little 7-year-old white kid, talking into his soul, how to find courage, how to truly be tall in this life. And up to now, 53 years later, 55 years later, actually, I still carry the lesson of that medicine moment when Daniel had every reason to despise who I was and what I represented, but instead spoke into my soul and invited me to what it means to be a tall person in your heart and in your courage. And I've carried that for my life. And I believe that's the medicine work that we do. In all of our offerings, in all the beautiful expressions that all of us over these weeks will be talking about, we are going in to touch the soul out of a deep love and a deep honoring, and to plant something there that brings out such an amazing lifelong lesson so that we can actually be who we are. Because we as medicine workers aren't trying to build congregations. We're not trying to get followers. We're not trying to get an empire. That's what culture does. We actually look into something much deeper in all the encounters that we have, and that's where medicine operates. And in these times today, guess what? We need courage, don't we? We need to overcome our fears. We need not to be pushed back and forth by all the stories and all the panic and all the other parts that are going on around us. And so that's one story of what it means to be a medicine worker. One other one I'll give you. I won't go to all three because of my time. Back when I was in my, I guess it was in the 1990s, yeah. So I was about 30 years ago or so. I was in Central America, and I was working with a group that was dealing with people who were sitting in a place of environmental destruction and poverty at the same moment, where those came together. And in this one community where we were working nearby, there had been a flash flood, and all these folks that were living at the base of a volcano that had also, been deforested over time were impacted because the whole side of the mountain shook loose and buried almost this entire village of 1,500 people in a matter of minutes, just a wall of mud. And the survivors of that community, you can imagine the deep heartbreak and the loss. Family members just taken away in the dark of night, never to be seen again. Very few survivors. And the next morning, I was walking down a little dirt path near that that area where the village had been buried, and there sat this woman who had a couple 3 palm fronds that she made a little roof out of, little sticks holding it up, and she'd made a little fire, and she had a little bit of flour, and she was making these little tortillas, and she had a little bit of beans, and I sat down and I spoke with her. And she's telling me her story of loss. And while she was doing it, she was just making this food. And I didn't even know in my heart how to hold that amount of loss and pain for this whole community that was being described to me. And she lost all of her children and she lost her husband in that night. And then when this tortilla was ready and the little beans were warm, she rolled it up for me and then she handed it to me as food. And she said, "Here, sir, could I give you some food?" And in this moment of deep pain and poverty and loss, here she was looking into my eyes and my soul and reading what was going on in my spirit. And she offered me the gifts that she had to offer me for me to be taken care of. And I have to say that food has never, ever left that spiritual plane in my life since that moment. She elevated the beauty of what it means to open your hand and your heart to another, and to simply be grace in that moment. And she looked as a medicine woman deep into my soul, and she touched me where I needed to be touched in that moment. And she touched me with a lesson that will never leave me because of it, because it was medicine work. I just want to say, as sort of the closing piece for us here, medicine workers are called, I believe, to live inside the middle of all that makes up this broken, beautiful world. Okay, we don't live outside of it. We don't escape it. We don't transcend it. We don't deny that it exists. We're always in conversation with our ancestors and all of creation, so beautifully put by Tass, and to all of the beings of the future. In the middle of all of that aspiration and loss and longing and confusion and fear, we look into the souls of each other, and we offer them the medicine of the truth and the beauty of who they are, of the knowledge that they can, in whatever their situation is, grow in this courage and the stature to be all that they're meant to be, and to be those that love in the middle of all that is broken. And all that we do, to see every encounter, every being, every lizard, every tree, every person as a holy being to whom we offer our soul. And we open ourselves up to allow them to offer their souls back to us as well. And there's where we truly become one. And this world becomes a place of love as a consequence. So that's my piece. Thank you for letting me share. I look forward to hearing the rest of you. Cheers.
Aho, Metafias, just want to say thank you to my beloved husband. I can tell you that compost also did make him physically tall. But just want to thank you, Gordy, just for your big heart and for always stretching our hearts into further expansion and love and understanding of what it means to be in community. Thank you so much. We're going to now move on to our beautiful sister, priestess, Nuna Isi Ma. She's going to be talking to us about the collective primal wounds. Welcome, my sister, Nuna Isi.
Hello, Michelle. So grateful to be here. Thank you, sister, for manifesting this beautiful gathering and sharing the knowledge. I'm very feeling very humbled and proud at the same time to be here with all of you. And so my topic arises from my own life journey. I've been placed by spirit in the most potent primal wounds myself, and I had to go through a very long journey to heal them. And I collected the tools and I collected the ways to to do it for myself. And while I was participating in so many workshops and therapy and retreats, and I've been surrounded with so many people, I've noticed that these primal wounds that I carry are actually collective. We all carry these wounds, no matter where we are from the world, to which bloodline we've been born, what color is our skin. We all part of this collective wounding that is a result of the unconscious society and over 2,000 years of patriarchy. And so these wounds are, I'm gonna just mention them so we understand them, and then I wanna give a little bit of insights into them. These wounds are the birth wound, how we arrived into this planet Earth, our rite of passage. And of course, most of us been born in hospitals and they've been taken care of the system. And I've been working with breath work, and in my work, I've witnessed people going back into their birth and rebirthing themselves. The other wound is the mother wound, the father wound, the inner child wound, the body wound, the sisterhood, brotherhood wound, and the lineage ancestral wound. And so what happens is that when we experience any form of overwhelming trauma or an experience that is really taking us out of our comfort zone, out of what is normal daily to us, what happens is that the body reacts in 3 different ways: flight, fight, and flee. And so what happens is that in fight, there is an activation of pain body, and everything triggers it. There is a lot of anger, there's a lot of rage, and we can clearly see how people are in that fight state of being. Quite often it plays out. The other way that the body responds is by flight, meaning that part of our soul leaves the body and goes to the ethers because the body doesn't feel safe enough. And another way that the body responds is freeze. So it pushes those memories, those harsh, hectic moments, which is the body's survival mechanism to deal with it. It pushes it somewhere and stores it in the cells of the body. And this takes a lot of vital energy from the body to keep it there at bay. So what happens is that all of us that have been experiencing these wounds to some degree, some more than others, but everyone to some degree, are walking with this either flight, freeze, or fight constantly. And anything triggers that. So it plays out in our relationships, and it plays out in our thoughts, in our feelings, in our actions. And when we look around, what we actually see is a lot of wounded children at play, and that includes our leaders. And so for me, the way I understand it is this is the fundamental work that each and every one of us has to take responsibility to look at. And the first step is to realize it, to understand that it's there, to understand that we are navigating through it and through the pain that it caused, as well as everyone else. And so that brings a lot of compassion. And really the work is to fill those wounds with love, with our own love, and to mother and father our own inner child. And so this is the way to move forward. And what I want to say is that many people really scared to look at those wounds. And I want to say that you don't have to be scared, because you already been through the experience. The experience has already happened. But when you allow yourself to look at it, you can feel it, to heal it, and you can bring clarity, and you can bring your own love and compassion and forgiveness, and fill those spaces, those missing parts, almost missing parts of the soul, right? Because we are spiritual beings having a human experience, so we embody our soul. And of course the soul lives the day we die. And so if you imagine the body holding the soul, it's almost like we have those gaps, those spaces, that either there are pent up emotions, yeah, that are frozen there, which stored in the body, or we have those spaces where the soul chucked out to the ethers because of feeling unsafe within the body. So the work is really to call all ourselves back into the body and feel safe. And there are many ways to do it. And I do suggest to have some guidance doing that, some assistance. But I want to say that by doing this work, this is when we actually get empowered. This is the work that by going through that almost rabbit hole and diving into the depth of the pain, we also can soar to the heights of bliss and joy, because it's all the same energy. It's all part of the same energy, like the yin and the yang. So if we don't feel our pain, if we suppress it, if we reject it, if we ignore it, then we can't experience fully the joy of life, the bliss, the ecstasy. They really go hand in hand together. And so by stepping into the healing journey, by understanding that, okay, we are a result, all of us, a result of unconsciousness for so many years. How can we shine the light of awareness into our state of being? How can we dissolve shame? Shame is the lowest frequency that really weighs us down, and its essence is I am bad, I am not worthy, I am not good enough. And all of us carry shame to some degree. I worked on my shame for many years, and I can say that I'm shame free. But I know that shame is something that so many people are experiencing, and there are ways to dismiss it, to let it go. It's not something that you are bound to live with for the rest of your life. It's really possible to let go of that, to navigate through it, to spiral up in the emotional spectrum into the positive charge of the positive emotions. And so my take away for you is to willingly step into this work of looking at your primal wounds, of almost hugging them in your heart compassion, and slowly they will dissipate. I see it as they will be filled with your love and the wisdom that comes from doing the work. The keys are going to open the doors of your greatness, because through moving those wounds, through moving through the pain of those wounds, you're going to be able to unlock your gifts. And every single one of us has a gift. We as children have never experienced true unconditional love, because our parents were also wounded, and their parents were also wounded. So we don't even know how it looks like. And this is something that we are all finding out. What is this self-love? What is this unconditional love that is so available to all of us if we peeling off those armors that we placed around our heart to feel safe because we were wounded. So yeah, I'm gonna leave you with that. Sending you blessings for your journey of healing. We are all in this together to some form of degree, and I sending you my love and blessing on this new moon. Aho.
Aho Matakuyasin, my beautiful sister. Thank you so much for your share. What beautiful information about loving our wounds. Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to invite our beautiful brother, Martin John Taylor. He's going to share with us one of his beautiful sacred heart songs. Welcome, my brother Martin.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for inviting me here. And thank you to everybody who's been sharing such beautiful words. Wow, what a connection. Feel very blessed to have such amazing friends. So this is a song about our connection to the earth, really, and to each other. Tienes mi cuerpo, agua es mi sangre, aire es mi aliento, el fuego es mi espíritu. Tienes mi cuerpo, agua es mi sangre, aire es mi aliento, el fuego es mi espíritu. Tienes mi cuerpo, agua es mi sangre, aire es mi aliento, el fuego es mi espíritu. Tienes mi cuerpo, agua es mi sangre, aire es mi aliento, el fuego es mi espíritu. The earth is my body, the water my blood, the air my breath, and the fire my spirit. The earth is my body, the water my blood, the air is my breath, and the fire my spirit. The earth is my body, the water my blood, the air my breath, and the fire my spirit. Tiene mi cuerpo, agua es mi sangre, aire es mi aliento, el fuego es mi espíritu. Tienes mi cuerpo, agua es mi sangre, aire es mi aliento. es mi aliento, el fuego es mi espíritu. Tierra es mi cuerpo, agua es mi sangre, aire es mi aliento, el fuego es mi espíritu. Tierra es mi cuerpo, agua es mi sangre, aire es mi aliento, el fuego es mi espíritu. The earth is my body, the water my blood, the air my breath, and the fire my spirit. The earth is my body, the water my blood, the air is my breath, and the fire my spirit. The earth is my body, the water my blood, the air my breath, and the fire my spirit.
Aho, my brother.
Oh, Atakiose.
Thank you so much for your beautiful heart song. All the way there from England. Thank you.
Yeah.
We miss
Sunny
you here,
England.
the tip of Africa.
Thank you.
Hey, my beloveds, we're going to be moving on to our next sharer, Brother France Hills. He's going to be sharing Sacred Pathways with us. Welcome, my brother France.
Hello, everybody. Nice to be on the platform. So, just to begin, I usually do I do Zoom calls and I do an introductory prayer. It's more like an invocation slash acknowledgement of lineage, of African lineage. And it's funny, I don't speak a word of isiXhosa, but I can say this one prayer, and then I'm like, then all my ancestors just feel very complete. So here we go. Emakosini makose, Ndodlos Nkulu, Abantu Abandlala, Abahleli Emqolobeni, Enkwebene Kuvakasi, Izincinxane Zomoya Amadoda Avula, Emezini Kuvaliwe Makos. So with that, I acknowledge African people. I've been so fortunate to have been training with Grandmother Robin Youngblood for starting about eight years ago. And my journey has been a sacred pathway in many respects, even though for a lot of that journey, I didn't see it as sacred. And some of my journey wasn't sacred. I mean, looking back, it's very easy to look through painted glasses and to think, well, you know, I've always walked a very sacred way. But truth is, you know, life is really a succession of learnings and learning through our mistakes, and not walking a sacred path until we actually step onto something that is more sacred. So for me, the whole act of walking, when we talk about pathways, walking really is an act of catching yourself from falling. Like as a toddler, the first thing you do after you've learned how to crawl is you learn to stand up. And then your first step you take is basically to catch yourself from not falling into a table, or maybe you've done that already. So the second step is to not maybe make the same step or the same mistake as the first one. So when we look at a pathway, it really is a succession of catching yourself. So a pathway can be seen as a line of salvation, where every step really is a falling into place where you are safe. You're falling into safety. So you're catching yourself as an act of salvation. So any form of walking is really just seeing what the next step presents and how you've learned from the previous step. When life to me is not just a straight line, and I've learned this from Robin, I've learned this from many elders. It really is a circle. So you get born and you're basically on your knees pretty soon. And then you start walking, and as you die, you go back to your knees before you exit. So you literally caught into this life, and then at the end you caught out, and you reflect. So what my journey has brought me to the work that I do, or some of the work that I do, is to facilitate Vision Quest. With lockdown, I've had the privilege of facilitating Vision Quest for people online, and it's a very deep, profound experience. I never thought it was possible. My head was always, you've got to go to a mountain, and you've got to have a medicine person with you, and then you've got to have a sweat lodge before and a sweat lodge after. So the way it came to me was in a 4-day medicine dance, fasting and praying and dancing around a middle support structure, the middle of the medicine wheel. So the vision came: take people on quest. People need it. People need to find their own pathway. They need to find their own way. Especially with things being up in the air, that was the right thing to do. What I've learned from that is many things. That each person has a unique journey. So even as me, as the facilitator, and my colleague Elaine, even as we would want to see the better in people and help people heal and help steer people in a certain direction, that is not the case. Each one finds their own truth through their own path. Our paths are so unique. Each one of us has a unique way and a unique destiny. So it really is about discovering that thing that calls you. So a typical session would usually start with checking into feelings and needs. So we have an introductory talk on a Sunday night, and then for the next 7 days, we have an hour Zoom in the morning. So typically we'd start with, okay, what are you feeling? And what's your needs for all the participants? And then I would guide them on a visual journey into a forest, into the place where they have set up on the first call their virtual medicine wheel where they would quest. And then from there, Father Eagle or Sister Owl may come with some messages. Each day has a theme. Each day has an element. Each day has lessons to be worked through as we face a different direction in every day. And everything in life has medicine. So it's very applicable to have this quest while your daily life is still going on. Because medicine comes through other people. It comes through watching a bird. It comes through watching your own self, your own actions and your own reactions to things. So we work through the four cardinals, and then we work through Father Sky and Mother Earth, the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And the last day, we marry those two into one. So what I want to finish off by speaking about sacred pathways is that we don't really know what the next step is. Life really is, the good things that happen to us, they kind of happen by accident. The things that are not so good, they kind of happen by accident. When we look back, we can reflect on those things, and we can see all the lessons. Or we can see better where we're going to. But if we remain humble and prayerful, our paths will become clear, and they will become clearer. But basically, we've got to be willing to co-create with Creator. This isn't a solo journey. And as we humble ourselves through prayer, life can happen, and life does happen. And life happens for us and not against us. So we're really all on this journey of discovering our own paths. And may you find your own way in this week to come. May you find your own way in this month to come, in this year to come. And see the sacredness in all of life. Aho.
Aho, my brother Franz, thank you so much for that beautiful share. The reminder of being in prayer and stepping humbly upon the path, and that we all do indeed have very unique pathways, all like the spokes on the sacred wheel. Thank you so much, brother. Okay, we're going to move to our next sharer now, Brother Kent Steenkamp. He's going to be sharing with us about realigning in these times and a few things that have surfaced up for our dear brother over this time. Welcome, my brother Kent.
Hi, everybody. Hi. Thank you, Michelle. Sure. I'm not used to doing this kind of thing. I'm a twister. I went through spiritual sickness in 2007. Trained as an Iklicha down in Cape Town, shaman. Now I'm training with Grandmother Robin on the Path of the White Bull. And I don't normally do this kind of thing. I'm usually in the background. I'm usually the one holding space. I'm usually the one working on individuals one-on-one with changing subconscious patterns. But I do feel it's time for me to start coming out of my cave. And I think as we all come out of our caves after this time of introspection, I feel we should be accessing and realigning ourselves with greater expressions of ourselves, with greater expressions of civil systems and greater vibrations of truth. Truth is a tricky subject. We see this now, and we should be able to say that truth should be verifiable. So we have our factual truths, but as we can see, as time passes, those truths change. As we gather new information, those truths expand. So they're not really fixed truths. You know, we can think of something obvious like an airplane. It was a verifiable fact that a person cannot fly. And then the next thing you know, we're flying. We're flying to other planets now. We're really looking to the stars. So our factual truths are constantly shifting, not fixed. We do have fixed truths. We have our perennial truths. These are also verifiable through experience. The great truth of unconditional love being the substrate of all life and the guiding power behind our evolution. The truth that there is nothing other than this moment here, now, that we are all one. This can be experienced, this can be verified by going deeper into oneself. You know, we go beyond our minds, beyond our bodies, beyond our beliefs about ourselves, beyond our sexes, beyond our races. We find this observer witnessing all of these things. And if we go a little bit deeper, we realize that what that observer is made up of is pure awareness. So we're an awareness that is witnessing. This awareness is the same awareness that is the substrate of all life and of all existence. So we quite literally are one awareness with many points of view. But of course, that's not going to be true from a person in the space of fear. Well, in this person in the space of fear, to them, there's definitely no such thing as unconditional lovingness. God is out to get them. The world is dangerous. Time, there's never enough time in the space of fear. There's no such thing as there's only now. So we have our perceptual truths, and I call it a perceptual truth fear because it's not really based in reality. It's an imagination, it's a projection forward in time, it's a potential, it's something that may happen in the future, but it's not true here now. I work a lot with David R. Hawkins. If you don't know about him, he developed a scaled map of the human expression from our very lowest vibrations of shame that was mentioned already, where we're the most separated and most isolated from each other and from God, to our very highest vibrations of unconditional lovingness and oneness and unity with God, the very highest expressions of that being the great avatars, Buddha, Krishna, Jesus, Zoroaster. But Dr. Hawkins also found on this map, there's a point on the map where one's decisions, one's actions become constructive to life. They become empowering, they become uplifting, where one starts to seek unification and cooperation with others. This is a point of integrity on the scale map. And just beneath this point is the point of pride. And pride's truth is opinion. Can we call an opinion truth? It's quite destructive, really, an opinion. It always needs to be defended, especially with pride. We'll even go to war over this. The truth of an opinion usually leads to a polarization and a conflict and even divorce and all sorts of monstrosities. So truth kind of blocks pride. Pride kind of blocks truth, should I say. As does any bias, really. Fear also blocks access to truth. This is one of the things I actually show people is how to access this kind of truth, how to access what is empowering to their bodies, what uplifts them. You can use kinesiology to do this, but if you go deep enough into this, you realize that there's the perennial truth of God speaking to us through our hearts. Our hearts knows what is empowering for it, what is uplifting, what makes us strong. And it also knows what shuts the heart down. You just got to get in touch with this again. I think this knowledge and these understandings need to be shared again and reawakened. Because with this, we can check the integrity of any government decision. We can make sure that what they're deciding is in the best interest and is an integrous decision. It is an empowering decision for all of us. We can make sure that their integrity, that their intent, should I say, is integrous. We can there's a lot I can say about our democracies and our governments, but I think I should just post something about that. I should write something. There's not enough time to speak about all of that now. But I would like to see democracy back in the hands of the people. That's I think is a no-brainer. It really has to happen. I think with modern technology, we can easily be voting on every decision that any government is making. We should be utilizing these tools to check. We should be voting on anything that a decision that a government is making. We should be voting on it ourselves, and we could set up a situation where the government is servants of the people once again. And as the government servants, as servants to the people, we are back empowered. And I feel that is very important right now. I also feel that we should be setting up laws where the government cannot be invested in any kind of business interest while in Parliament. We should be, I mean, that brings me to the economic system. Obviously, the economic system also needs a radical facelift, a radical revamp. And again, that's something that I can write about, and I know will do. But I feel that we could say this about it. I could say this: our economic system should be a win-win situation. Should be a win-win situation for all, including Mother Earth. Mother Earth should be included in that win-win situation. And there's no reason why we can't do this. We can easily do this. We have the ingenuity. We have the technology. There's no reason why our economic systems can't be leaving our world in a better place, leaving it better than what it was when we arrived, for the generations to come. I think it's our responsibility as humans to improve on our world. I feel personally that as we move forward, we should be getting rid of scarcity on our planet. And in order to do this, I would love to see our planet without money. I would love to see everybody just openly sharing and loving with one another. And there'd be no need for any money, because we realize that it's actually our ingenuity that gets things done, not some government, it's not some money. But I think we're a long way away from that. So I think personally we need to be utilizing the UBI, especially now, universal basic income, especially now as we're moving forward. A lot of people think that it will make us complacent or to take away our need to be innovative. I personally think that humans are naturally innovative. We'll never move away from that. I think if we really want to be doing this, we can't be at the mercy of corporations and governments. And so we need to be taking back our independence, our sovereignty. So we need to be looking after our water and our food supply. There's a lot I could say about that too, and farming techniques, and how we need to replenish the soil. But I think, in a nutshell, what we can really do and what would really be good is if we took like our cities, our little villages, like where I am now, and our suburbs, and we overlaid a permaculture design to them. Then we had, say, like a tree planting block party where we get together and we plant the lemons on this side and we plant the oranges on this side, so we don't have a cross-pollination happening. And then we have our street parties, which are more about annual rotation of crops and seed sharing and idea sharing and innovation sharing. We could be. I think it's an important time for us to be doing that, because at the moment we're still measuring our success in getting things, and it's not really bringing us happiness. If we look at why we want to get anything, we'll quite quickly see that we're really looking for more loving relationships, more happiness in our lives, and a deeper sense of peace in this world. And it doesn't take much to really look at our world, and we soon realize that wealth and fame doesn't bring us happiness. And quite often it's the opposite. No love, joy, and peace there. Usually it's the opposite. But what does bring love, joy, and peace into our lives is when we make our world a better place. So when we're in these communities sharing in this way, We are already making the world a better place. We're already greening the planet. We're already developing more loving, healthy relationships with the people around us. We're opening our hearts to joy as we lift other people's hearts. We open the door to peace. We open the door to a love-based way in this world. Why are we still in our selfishness, trying to get and consume? We're empty, trying to pull ourselves. And when we start to give, we're coming from the space of fullness. And that's what love is. Love comes from the space of fullness. Love doesn't have any desire for anything. It doesn't have any needs. It only wants to give and share. So I think these things are all important. I think it's great that we're sharing all these seeds, but the seeds need watering and nurturing if we want them to have any solid kind of grounding in the future. And I think for that, we need to be planting the seeds of new ideas and understanding into the subconscious selves so that they can be rooted as a way of life. And I think we don't understand what I mean. I mean, we've all made New Year's resolutions and not been able to follow through with those resolutions because our conscious mind is very keen and open to all sorts of new ideas, but the subconscious doesn't want to change. It will stick to any old habitual pattern, no matter how dodgy it may be. We have 25 years of democracy in this country. We've seen so little change because the unconscious hasn't changed. You see, generations and generations we recognize racism as being a huge problem and hugely destructive to the human race. But yet we still find ourselves having to deal with it because the unconscious patterns haven't changed. And we cannot afford to be waiting for the generations to come for this kind of change to happen, because the incremental changes that happens between the generations is just way too slow. So we need to be utilizing these kinds of tools to access our subconscious and to make the necessary changes that we need to make. We can utilize the smoking mirror. There's so many ways we can see what needs to be changed. So we need to be utilizing. There's so many of these techniques coming into the world right now. There's so many old ones that have been here for thousands of years already to help us change our patterns. But we need to be using these kinesiological responses. We need to be checking what is integrous and what is empowering. And we need to be utilizing those techniques. And in no time, we can turn this world around. I look forward to sharing more ideas and sharing some of these techniques with you in the time to come. I guess that's really all I really wanted to say right now. Yeah, missed out on a few things, but that's okay. My first time in front of the camera. So thank you, Michelle, and thank you all, friends. Yeah, see you soon. Ciao for now.
Oh, my beautiful brother, Ken, thank you so much. And thank you for that deep dive in. And we pray that the seeds that you speak of in this beautiful cosmic soil and in the imagination and in the hearts can be nurtured, and we can reach into that subconscious so we can change through the conscious mind, you know, and come into a place of abundance and move towards that win-win for everybody. Happiness all around. There is enough to go around. There certainly is enough to go around. So thank you so much, Brother Kent, for coming onto this platform. I know you're not used to this. Really, really appreciate your share, your presence. Okay, we're going to move on to our next sharer, Liesel Haasbroek, our Ember enthusiast. Welcome, Liesel, my sister.
Thank you, Michelle, and thank you to all your assistants. And I was a very grateful recipient to everyone that knew more about the technology than me. So thank you for that. I was invited to take part and to join in this conversation as a firekeeper. And what was very interesting for me is that this has been an opportunity to explore a question. And I see that we are all trying to answer a question about medicine and what the medicine of these times are. And I realize that I actually do not consider myself a firekeeper in the traditional sense. I've seen men look after fires and they look like dancers that become engineers. It's magical to watch, and that's really not my passion. My interest and my gift is about how you start your fire. So that's why I decided to call myself an ember enthusiast, because I start fires with friction and an ember is born. So I would like to show you the tools I use, which is a modern version of the true ancient fire making skills, fire making tools that were used by our ancestors. There's a fire stick, and this represents masculine energy. It is hardwood. This is Mozambique heart. It is like the number one. It provides structure, it's strong, it's hard, it's straight. And then, as Franz was saying, when you marry the masculine and feminine, there's the feminine. And I call this my motherboard. And way before you had a computer with a motherboard, this is the one that really birthed. And this is going to birth an ember. And I don't know if you can see, so this is the 0, and it's got a little, it's got a birth canal. If you look at that, you'll see that there's a wedge cut out, and that's where the ember falls through. And an ember is the embryo of a fire. It has the potential to burn the world down with the right conditions. Another aspect of the technology that I employ as an ember enthusiast is this. It is a bow. And recently I walked in an orchard where they had been pruning, and I always am looking for the right sticks that could be turned into a bow. And I picked them up and I realized the thing that changes this from a stick into this, which is a bow, is its ability to hold tension without breaking. So what I would like to propose and ask you to consider is that your medicine in the world is your gift and your ember, the embryo that is the potential for your enthusiasm and your excitement. So I'm going to call on the Great Spirit to hopefully share the birth of an ember with you. I hope that was successful. There was a poem by Carl Koenig, who started the Campbell movement. And I find this a particularly valuable message especially on Solstice, because the making of the primal fire, this friction fire, is also called the art of calling down the sun. So it goes, there is a knighthood of the present age, whose warriors do not ride through the forests of old, but through the dark forests of the mind. They wear spiritual armor, and an inner sun makes them radiant. They walk knowing that man is a healer because he's a spiritual being. They must find inner order, peace, and conviction in the darkness of our times, and they must learn to walk with angels. And I would like to add to that, we must learn to walk with the ancestors. And to go back to the question of the medicine of the times, in a conversation we had recently, someone asked, what is the definition of healing? And we decided that the most elegant answer was the removal of a blockage. And my feeling and my wish and my personal passion, and the reason why I am interested in every person's ember, is that if you make, and when you make fire with friction, you remove the blockage between yourself and your ancestors, because we don't see them, and we can't imagine that we all share one mother and one father. But when you practice this skill and you work with this way, you will recognize our history and the medicine of the past, and connecting to the ancient ways. There's another a poem that I always like, and it says, when you walk into the fire of self-discovery, that fire will not burn you, it will burn what you are not. And also my friend Lizanne, whose house burnt down, she said, what do you take from the fire when everything you've grown is burning? Take an ember to light your way. And I want to tell you, in my personal experience of working with fire and understanding and looking at embers, it is, if that is your gift, it could happen that it is broken up and it could be blown away and it could be turned into a pinhead size of an ember. And you may be criticized and you may be challenged and you may consider trying to make money from working with your passion and not succeeding. There will be a million reasons why you will be challenged in keeping your ember alive. And sometimes you may need a little bit of breath, so soft that you need to just speak. Otherwise you would blow it out. And so when you engage with your gift and your medicine and your passion and your purpose in the world with that intimacy and that care, you will become humble. And I have nothing has humbled me more than fire. Working with fire and expecting to make a fire when other people expect me to do it, and I've done it 1,000 times, and all of a sudden I can't, or the conditions aren't favorable, or I'm putting too much pressure on myself, or any of those things. It can happen that you will then become humble, and you will have to, and that's what it means when you walk into the fire of self-discovery. Humility is when everything is burnt away that you are not. I would like to show you that we have the Primal Fire kits available. My beloved Bruce says that a picture paints 1,000 words, but an experience paints 1,000 pictures. So if you would like to remove the blockage between yourself and the traditional way of making fire, and meeting your ancestors and making our Mother Earth the customer, because you will never relate to the natural world in the same way again when you start making fire. your humility and the way that you look at the world will change forever. So thank you very much for this opportunity, and thank you for seeing my fire and valuing my fire. Thank you.
Aho, my sister Liesel, Ember enthusiast, thank you so much. We've had the joy of creating the primal fire with yourself and your beloved Bruce, and it was an absolute delight just to come back to that place with Grandfather Fire. Thank you so much. And as you say, the fire inside of us, the ember of inspiration and the fire inside of us, we decide that fire can destroy and burn away, but that fire can create so much beauty in the world. Thank you so much for your share. Aho. Okay, Brother Martin. So lovely. We're going to hear another beautiful one of your heart songs. Welcome back, my dear brother.
So thank you to everybody for your beautiful sharings. I'm so enjoying your words of wisdom. So yeah, so this is a little song for gratitude. Centered in thy grace, giving thanks, giving thanks, giving thanks, giving thanks. Giving thanks, giving thanks. Centered in thy grace, giving thanks, giving thanks, giving thanks, giving thanks. Giving thanks, giving thanks. Humble my soul, surrendering all I am, letting go, letting go, letting go. Humble my soul, surrendering all I am, letting go, letting go, letting God, letting love, let it flow, let it grow, letting go. Naked in thy sight, top to eye to eye, under full moonlight. La la la, la la la. Naked in thy sight, heart to heart, eye to eye, under full moonlight. La la la, la la la, la la la, la la la. So hug the earth and kiss the sky. Here in this moment we live till we die and beyond. kiss the sky in this moment we live till we die and beyond and beyond. Sit in thy grace, giving thanks, giving thanks, giving thanks, giving thanks, giving thanks, giving thanks. Sitting in thy grace, giving thanks, giving thanks, giving thanks, giving thanks, giving thanks, giving thanks. Humble my soul, surrendering all I am, letting go, letting go, letting go. Humble my soul, surrendering all I am, letting go, letting go, letting God, letting love, let it flow, let it grow, letting go. Naked in thy sight, heart to heart, eye to eye, and the full moon bright. La la la, la la la. Naked in thy sight, heart to heart, eye to eye, and the full moon bright. La la la, la la la. So hug the earth and kiss the sky. In this moment we live till we die and beyond and beyond. So hug the earth and kiss the sky. In this moment we live till we die and beyond and beyond and beyond and beyond and beyond and beyond.
Oh, my brother Martin.
Takiasi.
Thank you so much for your beautiful songs. Always
Oh,
such a pleasure. Sweet nectars from
thank
your
you.
soul essence into our hearts. Thank you so much, my brother.
Oh,
Okay, beauties, beloveds, we're going to move on to our brother Russ. Brother Russ Aaron Baker, he's going to be sharing with us, his topic is What's the Matter? And we do then have one other sister that we've had a bit of technical issues with, but we're truly hoping that she can still join. We're trying to get her into the Zoom room, Dr. Yana Lazarus. So in the meantime, we'll just we'll listen to our beautiful brother Russ. Welcome, brother Russ.
So today I'd like to talk to us about what is the matter. The world is in a place of complete shift and change. We find ourselves at a point of being in a crisis, as they call it, where the powers at hand, us as society, is in a complete shift and change, just bringing the reality of there's no permanence. There's only the evolution that comes through change, through altering, through changing. And over the last 4 months, I've just been sitting observing first the message that came through as we move in the medicine wheel, we have each direction. As east, we see as the sun as it rises, a place of illumination and new sights. And the place of the south, the place of fire, the place of a coyote, and the place of the physical. And as we move to the west, we find the place of water, and the place of healing, the place of grandmother bear. And initially, with the whole lockdown and everything else going in the world, to me, the message came very clear that it's a time to go within ourselves. And during this time, there's been a lot of shares amongst ourselves within our group as a shamanic community, and as well just the friends that have reached out to me of trying to go within, but the external world being this influence that drives us and pulls us from that. Now, to me, what the matter is not what we see on the news. It's not what we read in a book. It's none of the above. What truly is the matter is ourselves. And we need to come back to a place of learning to nurture our inner garden. If you think of the highlights of the last few weeks, going through from George Floyd, Black Lives Matter, to our government decisions with the lockdown, to international decisions of lockdown, it doesn't bring any sense of peace, of love, of joy, any form of contentment. So my answer to this is that we've got to stop looking outside of ourselves for this truth, because the truth lies within ourselves. What we allow within ourselves is what affects us. Yogananda Paramahansa, he came to teach a very important technique of meditation and yoga known as Kriya, where he believed that the subconscious mind and the conscious mind are two levels of an altered state of reality, and our goal is to achieve back to the super consciousness, which is our true reality, out of the state of being altered. So to get into the space, what I'd like to share right now is possibly a few minutes of us just to observe just what we've noted within our own lives, within our own spectrum of bubble, what's been passed through our frequencies, and just observing each one and just noting how it makes us feel within ourselves. Is it positive? Does it make you feel content? Does it give you peace? Does it give you joy? And most of all, does it allow the love to emanate from within you, or does it close that off? Because this is the reality that we face. We've forgotten what truly matters, and that is ourselves. We've forgotten that there is such a thing as control, but that control is over ourselves and over our mind, and not giving that power over to anybody else but ourselves. And that starts by us nurturing this garden within ourselves. In the Hawaiians, they talk of us being pono, to live within harmony with all beings, within ourselves, and with the world around us. So in relevance to us, our neighbors, our family, our loved ones, all those that surround us within an immediate result is of importance and of our matter. Anything beyond that is only an illusion. It does not exist. What truly exists is you and the reality you choose to create. So in Kriya Yoga, the first thing we learn is to achieve states of higher consciousness. We need to learn to let go. And this is done by a simple technique of learning to relax the body, relax the mind, and relax the spirit. and allow all things to be whole. So just taking a moment, just going to allow our eyes to close for a moment and just arrive back in our bodies. Just starting to notice any areas which may be holding tension, any thoughts that may be flowing through. And instead of to hold to these thoughts, just simply allow them to go past as if watching the clouds in the sky. This is the first point of observation, losing our judgment, losing our expectations, and just connecting within. The second part is how do we bring our minds into an elevated state of thought and an elevated state of being. Now, this is a very simple technique that we learn in meditation by taking our right hand up and placing it in front of us with our thumb up, just allowing us to gaze just above the brow line. This is where we keep our gaze, as to look upward, to elevate our minds. Now, keeping your elevation there, we're just going to allow our eyes to close once again. And you may start to notice lights. You may notice a field of blue, a field of gold, or a field of white light. If you do not see anything, do not hold any thought to this. Just allow yourself a moment to be within yourself, within your reality. Drawing in the breath through the nose, and just allowing the breath to exhale through the nose. Without any control to the breath, just allow it to flow in its unmodified state. Keeping our gaze elevated towards the brow line. And as we do this, just taking the breath now into a state of elevation, trying to also notice the breath as it flows between that point, between the brow of eyes. We're going to do this now by counting to the inhalation of 12, retaining the breath into the count of 12, and then exhaling to the count of 12. Inhaling to the count of 12, retaining the breath into the count of 12, and exhaling to the count of 12. Inhaling to the count of 12, retaining the breath into the count of 12, and exhaling to the count of 12. As we slowly dissolve within the breath, you may already start to notice a change within your consciousness, within your being. And just allow yourself to sit within the space. Allow yourself to connect within these aspects of joy, of peace, of love. Now just releasing the count of 12 to the breath and allowing the breath to go back to its natural state, remaining with our eyes closed, keeping our gaze towards the brow of the eyes, and really just trying to connect with that radiant light. Allow it to fill your very being, feeding in through the third eye, filling the head, filling the throat, filling the shoulders, the arms, the entirety of your being. Just allow that breath to flow within you. Now as our being becomes filled with this light, just allowing it to extend out into the space around you, allowing that love, that peace, that harmony and joy to emanate from your very being and start to surround the room around you. As it fills the room around you, envision it filling into the community surrounding you, across the country, across the globe, allowing it to expand to every point of the universe. Just allowing your light, allowing your love, allowing your harmony to weave in and flow into the cosmos. It's time just thinking of anyone who you hold dear and love with you, and just share these vibrational thoughts of love, harmony and joy that we find within. Extending it to our world leaders, even if the three people that we may have thoughts of, maybe we've had conflict with, and just allowing it to flood into those areas, allow it to fill with this love. Just allowing the hands to connect to heart center, bringing balance to the body, balance to the mind, connecting back where we should belong, within the spine, within the heart. Divine Mother, Heavenly Father, we thank you that your love flows through us, your joy flows through us. The harmony within us is the harmony we share with those around us, with all the kingdoms, within Pachamama, with all the beings within this reality and beyond. May these lessons be with us. May we learn what truly matters is the existence of our being and how we nurture ourselves from within. Om Shanti Shanti.
Aho, my brother As, thank you so much for your beautiful share and deep meditation, bringing us back home, back to heart. Thank you so much, my brother. We are now we've managed to get our Dr. Jana Lazarus into the room. So we welcome you, Dr. Jana Lazarus. You're going to be speaking about shamanism and psychology. So we welcome you. If you can unmute and put your video on, that will be great. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone. It's a real privilege to be speaking to you tonight. I am Johanna, I'm a medical psychologist, which means I'm supposedly trained to deal with the more severe mental disorders. I have to ask, which mental health issue is not debilitating? And why is only the word mental in there? The meaning of psychopathology from ancient Greece is illness of the soul. Surely this is always a journey of soul retrieval. At bottom, what shamanism and psychology have in common is the search for the daily regulation of our inner state. Trauma leads to the dysregulation of our mood and behavior. Shamanism teaches that there are only two energies in this universe, fear and love. We all want
Dr. Jana Lazarus. Dr. Jana? Dr. Jana, sorry, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but your sound is really, really bad. So we're not catching what you're saying. I think there's been a gremlin in the works for us tonight, my dear one, but I think what we can do is work on your sound tech and place you onto one of the other Sundays, if you don't mind, because I'm sure what you have to share is really, really beautiful and deep. Oh, sorry, we're getting a suggestion here that you turn off your camera. I think we'd all like to see Dr. Jana as she shares. So, Jana, are you okay with that? Are you okay with jumping
Yes,
onto
sure.
another
I'm going to
Sunday?
turn it off and then I'll use my. Yes, yes. Okay.
Yeah, because I think I think it is really lovely if we could all see you. So what we're going to do, Jana, is if you can come on to one of the other scheduled Sundays and we just do a sound check with you before we live stream, yeah?
Yes, good. Will do.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, beloveds, just want to say thank you so much to all of the speakers and all of you listeners that have been following us on the live stream. It's, you know, it's always, there's always a little bit of tech issues that we got to get ourselves around, and we're learning this wonderful platform. So thank you for all of you that have tuned in tonight. We're going to be back here next Sunday. The sharings have been truly incredible, truly deep, and I'm sure are going to have left us with some imprints to really consider and to also integrate into our lives. Some of the sharings that we have personally resonated with. I would just like to really, before we close in prayer, just to really thank our beautiful tech support. You know, we can't do these live streams on our own. You know, it's all about co-creation. So really, thank you so much, Brother Russ, for all your time invested in this and the help on the tech. And thank you to Svenja as well. And thank you to all of the beautiful speakers for stepping up, taking courage. It's not always easy. We have to get out of our own way, and, you know, so thank you so much. And we will definitely, you know, we'll get Jana to speak on one of the other evenings. So thank you, Jana, for trying to, you know, to be in the Zoom tonight. So, and also just another word about next week, Sunday, we will be having our guest speaker, Robin Tequelis Youngblood. She has, she's a Native American grandmother. She's based in Arizona at the moment, I believe, and she will be sharing with us as well next week at the start of the session. So I just want to call us all back into a space in our bodies. Just take a deep breath and just really want to give thanks, so much thanks for this blessing of this life, for all the beautiful heart shares this evening. Want to give thanks for the support of Pachamama, all of her gifts, and Pachamama, we're working towards restoring balance and creating new systems, new codes for humanity so we can come into balance with you. And I want to thank all of the spirit realm for all of your support in our lives on a daily basis, the unseen realms. I want to give thanks for that and the guidance and the oversoul, the guidance of the higher soul, guiding us on, that can see ahead of us in these physical bodies. And I want to give great thanks to all our ancestors and all of the lineages that we carry, all of the memories, all of the wisdom that we're bringing forward. I want to give thanks to all of the indigenous knowledge as well and sharings that's happening on our planet at the moment, the earth keepers and the wisdom keepers looking after our beautiful planet. Thank you so much for all of your sharings and your medicines and your songs. I want to give thanks to Mama Bear in the cave for this beautiful time of introspection and reflection so that we can see our truths and the errors of our ways, and we can set new goals for our future and for the future of our children and their children's children for the next 7 generations on. And I want to give thanks to the beautiful embers, the beautiful fire of creation that we hold within us, and may we reach a time where we live in a world that our gifts are acknowledged, that our sovereignty is acknowledged, and that is enough. That is enough. Enough abundance to go around for each and every human being, and a win-win situation with Pachamama. And I want to give thanks to the great winged ones that are going to carry these beautiful vision seeds up to Grandfather Sun, so that this birthing may continue and this nurturing may continue, and that we may continue watering these beautiful seeds, that they can grow strong, grow into big, beautiful visions for our future generations, for our children. Want to give thanks for everybody just once again for tuning in. Thank you so much, and we'll see you back here next Sunday. Aho Matakuyasan. We are all one. We are all related.